Well, good afternoon. Grace and peace and welcome to Bozeman United Methodist Church. My name is Pastor Zach. I'm the pastor here at this church, but I have the honor and privilege to be here with you today. I want to start out by thanking our students from Bozeman High who welcomed us in with beautiful music this morning. As you all can guess, it was important for Joyce to include students in her service today. And we're especially grateful for you all sharing your gifts of music with us. On behalf of the family, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here on this beautiful and rainy, perfect day to celebrate Joyce's life. Your presence truly matters. In moments like this, there's something deeply meaningful about gathering together as family, as friends, as colleagues, as neighbors, as students, as community. To gather in this place to grieve, to hold close all the heaviness on our hearts today, to remember, to tell our stories and to share in what Joyce left with us, to give thanks for the time that we had with her, and to tell the truth about a life that deeply mattered. So today we come together to do that very thing, to celebrate Joyce's life and the many ways in which she touched the lives of others, for the fact that we have people shoulder to shoulder, standing around the room, those who are joining us online, is a testament. It's a true testament to the way in which her life touched so many people. She was a teacher, a mentor, a colleague, a friend, a wife, along with them. Each one reminds us that Joyce's life was not lived in isolation, but in relationship, whether it be in the classroom or around tables or in conversations, and acts of care and kindness, and in the quiet and faithful ways that she showed up for the people around her. And so this afternoon is going to be filled with stories, with memories, with music, offered by people who were very special to Joyce. And I trust that we're going to not only laugh together, but we're going to share and hold space for our tears and broken hearts today too. We hold together both sadness of these moments of goodbye, but we hold deep, deep gratitude for the gift of Joyce's life. And so today, my hope is that this time will give us room to remember her well, to honor her impact that she had on the world around her, and to remember that love does not simply end, but that the love that Joyce shared with each and every one of you that are here with us and those that join us from afar lives on. The lessons that she taught you live on. The lives that she helped shape and the legacy that she leaves behind, she does so in each and every one of you. And we hold all of that close today. As we surround her family, as we surround her community and all that she taught us and all that she shared with us, we hold that close today. So I want to invite you to take a deep breath, to settle into this sacred space as we begin this time of remembrance. May we do so with open hearts. And today, may we celebrate a life well lived. And to do so, we're going to start with a little bit more music. And I want to invite Sally Newsom up. She was a student of Joyce's, and she sang to Joyce on her 40th birthday. I know. That performance made such an impact on her that Joyce asked specifically for Sally to sing today at her memorial service. Sally, I want to invite you out.
verses. The last verse, if you all are so inclined, I would love for you to join in with me and we'll all sing it together. The first verse at the end. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see.
Sally, thank you for taking us to church. Oh, I can see. Man, thank you. Now we're going to spend some time doing what we're here for. Telling stories. Hearing about Joyce's life from a few friends and colleagues and then a few family. And first, I want to invite up Janelle Rasmussen. Welcome her up. Janelle and Joyce knew each other through their work of the Office of Internal Programs at Montana State University.
Okay, really hard to follow Sally. But I brought up my emotional support person, Makiko Deal. And I also have several colleagues from the Office of International Programs with me. I know Deidre Combs is over here, Kevin Bratsky over here. And whew. Sorry, I wasn't going to do this. But we have had the privilege of working with Joyce for more than 20 years. And during that time, Joyce taught and mentored hundreds of educators from around the world. But it's not the number of lives she touched that I want to talk about. It's about the way that she made people feel. So Luis is a teacher from Venezuela, and he shared a story with me that perfectly captures who Joyce was. He said that whenever Joyce introduced him to a teacher at the high school, she would say, "Luis, this is the best teacher in this high school." And then she would walk down the hall, and she would say it all over again. "Luis, this is the best teacher in this high school." And Luis told me that he didn't really understand at the time what she was saying, but later it really struck him that that's how we should treat people, and that she made people feel valued, and she built connections. And Luis said that when he returned home, he began modeling these same actions in his own life, and the results were remarkable. And that was Joyce. She believed deeply in education and cultural exchange and the power of bringing people together. And over the years that she worked with us, she mentored more than 500 fellows from 62 different countries. And her influence will continue through the thousands and thousands of students that those teachers have gone on to inspire. And she was also an unforgettable teacher herself. Satomi from Okinawa, Japan, remembered the day that Joyce brought a fly swatter into class and somehow turned it into a teaching tool, which was unexpected for her, but creative and memorable. And it was just like Joyce. And beyond the classroom, Joyce and her husband Rick opened their home and their hearts to our visitors. And Joyce became more than a mentor. She became a friend and a connection to family while these fellows were so far from home. So I will always remember Joyce's kindness, generosity, and beautiful, unique sense of humor. Beautiful, unique sense of humor. And I learned so much from her over the 20 plus years that I was so able to work with her. And she was and always will be one of my favorite people. And she will be deeply missed. So thank you. Thank you, Mickey.
Janelle, thank you so much I'm going to have to hear some more of the stories about her sense of humor. Come on. Love that. Thank you for sharing. Next up, I want to invite Ann Sullivan up. Ann was a colleague of Joyce's at Bozeman Senior High School and a close friend.
I miss Joyce. She was an amazing woman, teacher, and friend. She lived a life of integrity. Some of us talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. And Joyce was not one of those people who did that. I remember when she told me she had written a letter to a former hawker who serves in Congress, telling him she was disappointed in him. He had voted against some legislation supporting children. And that was something that we might have talked about, but Joyce acted on it. It was due to the strength of her character. She was a teacher and coach extraordinaire. Her gift for instructing students in psychology made the topic intriguing and fun. She generously shared her skills with speech students. She coached. International teachers, as Janelle said, she mentored, and colleagues like me who learned many techniques from her amazing example. Joyce had such intellectual gifts and empathy that she could connect with and reach not only the brightest students, but also those who experienced challenges in the classroom. Finally, Joyce was a true friend whom I deeply miss. She enriched my life as a loyal companion, co-worker, confidant, and even as a roommate. When we traveled with Bozeman High's speech and debate team to various tournaments, to the national speech and debate tournaments, both of us worked grading AP tests for the College Board in Daytona Beach, Florida. About the only thing we didn't share was a love for dogs. It was an honor having Joyce as a friend, and her presence in my life brought me much joy. I will acknowledge Shakespeare's influence when I say, "Goodbye, sweet Joyce, and may flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." I'm 100% Irish. Joyce was 100% Ukrainian, and so I thought it would be appropriate to finish with those two cultures' funeral sayings. Susati Tiokan. That's Gaelic for rest in peace. And I'm not going to try the Ukrainian. You should all be delighted. May your memory be eternal.
And thank you so much for sharing beautifully, and hopefully downstairs you'll share some of those roommate stories, because we know you got some. Next up, I want to invite Katie Panich up, who Katie was first a student of Joyce's and then a colleague of hers there at the high school, and then a wonderful friend. Katie, I want to welcome you up.
I have my clipboard. Teachers. All right. Joyce Hannula died in the early hours on April 23rd, 2026. Peacefully, Rick said. On a day like today, a gentle rain was falling. In death, there is the one who dies and the one who lives. But death does not have the last word. There is the disease, that erases the body and the mind, but in doing so, it reveals the essence of a person that death can never touch. Death can take away, subtract from a person, but in its subtraction, it reveals the essential and enduring. As Michelangelo once wrote, "I see the angel in the marble, and I just chisel until I set her free." That is to say, yes, Alzheimer's slowly subtracted her memories and her words. But as it was subtracting, Joyce's essence was polished and illuminated. Her essence was joy, the very word in her own name. Joy was at her core. Her disease also revealed Rick's deep and abiding love, his loyalty and tenderness in his care and sacrifice. In the end, love won. Even after all Alzheimer's subtracted, love was still greater than death. Like all of you, I had the privilege of walking with Joyce in this life. I was the beneficiary of her brightness and light, her incredible capacity for love, her deep well of compassion, her humor, her optimism, her ability to overlook the flaws and failings and see the goodness and potential of every human being. We have all been seen and loved by Joyce. And she loved so much in life. The people, animals, plants, language, travel, music, learning, and her family, most of all. Joyce was a brilliant and beautiful woman who gave so much to so many. We all have stories of Joyce's encouragement and generosity of spirit. I am proof of her belief that even an introvert who lacked confidence and was honestly terrified of public speaking could overcome that through Joyce's sheer will and determination. She believed in me. And I am just one of the thousands in her orbit whose lives were made richer. And at the center of that abundance and flourishing, Joyce lives. I know I'm a better teacher and friend because Joyce taught me generosity and compassion. If I have in any way been a positive influence on students, it's because I'm standing on Joyce's shoulders. Joyce had an unequaled passion for teaching and for students. Even in those final months when language was largely out of reach for her, she always asked me, "How is school? How are the kids?" And then a minute later, "How is school? How are the kids?" I will remember how Joyce's Alzheimer's could not take from her the passion she had for teaching, and the love she had for kids. I will remember that the disease couldn't take away the essence of joy inside her. I will remember one Saturday afternoon last autumn when Joyce and Rick pulled into our driveway. Joyce was in the passenger seat, eating raspberries from the little bowl that Rick kept for her. And I went out to chat with her through the car window. After a while, she looked over my shoulder to the west and said, "Pretty." When I turned, the sun was shining through the branches of our apple tree, and leaves were falling, backlit and golden in the light. She said, "You should dance." And so, to please her, I took some tentative steps and twirled through the glowing leaves. But as I did so to bring her delight, but I discovered it actually also brought me delight. Again, Joyce taught me, perhaps her most important lesson, that even in the grief of watching a dear friend losing parts of who she once was, even in her own decline, she could see beauty and know that the best response to that beauty was to dance in it and feel joy.
Katie, thank you for inviting us to dance in the joy and love of what Joyce saw this world in the fullness of its creation to be. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Finally, I want to invite up Rita Summers Flanagan. Rita is one of Joyce's closest and dearest lifelong friends.
She called me Ritzy. I called her Joycey. My children called her Aunt Juice. I can't explain why we connected so deeply and for so long, but Joyce was one of my life's greatest gifts. We met in 1973. Yes, a very long time ago. I was a Vista worker in Bozeman trying to build the Big Brother, Big Sister program here. And one of my new acquaintances thought Joyce and I would really like each other. So he arranged for Joyce to come over to my studio apartment above the Union Club for breakfast when she was home on break from St. Olave's. He told me she was a big fan of peanut butter and banana toast. So I had it ready, but you know Joyce, she was late. I had appointments, and this was back in the day, cell phones didn't exist. We met on the stairs as I was leaving, and she was arriving, and I told her, just go up and eat the toast. And she did. That began our 52 years of friendship. Joyce and I were there for each other through marriages, divorces, births, deaths, joys, sorrows, challenges, triumphs. For instance, when I went into labor with my first child, Chelsea, Joyce went into overdrive. We were so young and naive. She rushed home to make me a good meal to get through the monumental ordeal coming. It was a turkey dinner. and she urged me to eat second helpings. I could, between contractions. And I still remember that broccoli. Ugh. Joyce had an infectious personality and a quirky sense of humor. She'd leave threatening messages on our answering machine, using a deep voice, with a terrible accent, and then at the end she'd burst into her laughter. She hid behind posts in restaurants to jump out and scare me. And when I get in the car to leave after a visit, she would march up and down the sidewalk, singing really loud, "Bye, Rita, bye, Rita." I don't know if that was her way to get me not to leave or what, but we rarely lived in the same town, but we stayed connected. Lots of overnights, lots of stop-bys. We loved each other's children, spouses, siblings, friends, pets, and parents. Joyce's parents in particular made me feel like part of the family. Her mom plied me with food and held my face in her hands and say, "My Rita." Lucy was already off to college when I met Joyce, but her younger brother, Bill, endured or ignored my occasional presence in the basement. And as the years went by, we became friends. Many of you know the stunning story of the Jarosa's arrival in the U.S. I gradually became aware of this history, and I'm still learning about it. Lucy, Joyce, and Bill, their parents, endured unspeakable hardship on the journey that landed them here. Much to the betterment of Bozeman. Their tenacity, work ethic, sheer grit live on in their brilliant children and grandchildren. Of course, Rick and Kara were the absolute center of Joyce's world, but she made life better for everyone she came into contact with. When John and I would meet anyone from Bozeman, we'd say, "Do you know the Hannulas?" And they always did. Gifted teachers like Joyce and Rick have such a positive impact on so many lives. As Krista McCullough, the trailblazing teacher and astronaut, famously said, "I touch the future, I teach." My Joycey touched the future. Her devotion, mentoring, and belief in her students, friends, loved ones changed so many of us for the better. I'm grateful to have shared 52 years with Joyce, and like you, I wish we had 52 more. Thank you.
Rita, thank you for sharing those lifelong stories and laughter and giving us a picture into who Joyce was throughout life. Now we're going to invite some of Joyce's family up. And as you all come up to share, I want you to do something while you're here. And for those of you who are family who are not speaking, just take a moment to look around the room. So all of the people who showed up to share this space with you, to tell stories, and to laugh and cry with you, it's not a mistake that they're here. Joyce's life clearly made an impact, and it's something that we hold on to dearly today. And so as Maya and Kara and Rick share today, won't you all who have showed up both near and far hold them close as they share their stories today?
Rita, I remember that song. Thanks for coming. Please come again soon. Hopefully most of you know that song. We'll be doing it later today. very fortunate thing happened when I was 5 years old. My dad, Rick Hannula, married Joyce Jaros. Over the years, Joyce introduced me to many joyful things. Scouring Saturday morning yard sales for unloved pieces of antique furniture that we, mostly Joyce, would refinish into something splendid. Attempting numerous crafty endeavors that produced more laughter than actual results. I recall a particular gaudy jewelry disaster involving melting plastic in the microwave. Countless hours on the couch, clutching our ice-cold Pepsis, while thoroughly invested in the romance of Beau and Hope on Days of Our Lives. Or summer days spent in Joyce's classroom, preparing for the coming school year, rewarding ourselves at the end of the day by strapping on our roller skates and speeding through the halls of Bozeman High, always careful to avoid the disapproving janitors. Joyce touched the lives of many young people as a teacher and coach of the high school speech and debate team. After watching Joyce work with students at speech meets across Montana, I was anxious to join the speech team myself when I entered high school. I was lucky to have Joyce coach me on a favorite piece of hers from a popular children's book. I think she shared this piece with many students. More than winning a ribbon at a state meet, Joyce wanted us to understand the message. At the time, I was trying to get my pacing and tone right, but looking back, she was handing us a roadmap for life. Joyce wanted us to share this poignant passage from The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams with all of you here today. Joyce believed the message transcended and was worth carrying into adulthood, and I think she was right. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day. "Does it mean having things buzz inside you and a handle that sticks out?" "Real isn't how you are made," said the skin horse. "It's a thing that happens to you when a child loves you for a long, long time. Not just to play with, but really loves you. Then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the skin horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like when you're wound up, or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the skin horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." "I suppose you are real," said the rabbit. And then he wished he hadn't said it, for he thought the skin horse might be sensitive. But the skin horse only smiled. "The boy's uncle made me real," he said. "That was a great many years ago. But once you're real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always." Joyce wanted us to know that being real isn't about appearance, perfection, popularity, or status. It happens in the way we love and are loved. Caring deeply, teaching, coaching, supporting, parenting, empathizing, helping, cooking are all ways that Joyce loved us. These things leave visible wear on a person. The evidence is a life fully lived. Realness cannot be faked or rushed. It happens slowly through years of relationship, connection, vulnerability, and constancy. Joyce was real for all of us. Her students, colleagues, friends, and family. Joyce's joy, enthusiasm, silliness, and love of life drew us to her. But it was her ability to be real, fully, consistently, without pretense, that made us love her.
Right now, I'm wishing I'd taken speech and debate from my mom. I'm a terribly anxious public speaker. All right. We've all been on the same wavelength today. I'm echoing some of what Janelle already said, Rita, most definitely. Joyce made it clear who she was. Okay. Thank you all for being here today. It fills my heart to spend time with all of you celebrating the incredible life my mom lived. The outpouring of love our family has received over the past weeks has been overwhelming in the best possible way. It has reminded me just how many lives my mom touched. I am so very proud to be her daughter, and today I'm honored to share with you just a glimpse of what it was like to grow up as her daughter. I think of my childhood as one of beautiful chaos, a chaos that represented a full life and clear values. My mom was an energetic whirlwind. Anyone who knew our family knows that we always ran on Hannula time, which means we were perpetually late. There always seemed to be a million things going on. My mom cared deeply about people. She worked incredibly hard and was committed to doing the absolute best she could for her students, her family, her friends, and her community. If someone needed help, she helped. If someone needed encouragement, she gave it. If there was work worth doing, she threw herself into it completely. Working hard, connecting with others, and supporting others is what mattered to her. Looking back, I don't remember a childhood defined by schedules and organization. In fact, I appointed myself my mom's personal organizer, regularly cleaning out her school desk drawers and her purse as a hobby. The chaos was simply the evidence of a life that was being lived fully and passionately. One memory that has returned to me many times over the last 6 weeks since she passed is from when I was about 18 years old, almost ready to graduate. I remember thinking, my mom can't ever die. I won't be okay. There were many reasons for that thought, but one of them was surprisingly practical. I genuinely didn't think I would be able to write anything without her. In high school, I would leave papers until the very last minute and then frantically write through the night. And every single time, my mom would stay up with me. She would read drafts, offer edits, teach me how to make my writing stronger, and help me finish. Taking constructive criticism from your mom at 3 a.m. is not easy. And I can guarantee I was not a pleasant collaborator. But she put up with me. She stayed up. She cared enough to keep helping even when she had to work early the next day. And now, here I am, writing her eulogy without her. But when I sat down to write this, I had a surprising realization. I thought, I've got this. Because all those late nights did exactly what they were supposed to do. She didn't just help me finish those papers, she taught me how to write. She taught me how to think through challenges. She gave me confidence in my own abilities. When I wrote this, not procrastinating for once, she wasn't sitting on the edge of my bed at 3 a.m. helping me revise, but she was still helping me. Her lessons and her voice were present and will remain present well beyond her time on this earth. And much like how I'm carrying forward what she taught me about writing, I know all of us are carrying forward pieces of her in our own lives. My mom showed me love. She loved me in so many diverse ways. But one of the more important ways was by making my passions her passions. When dance was my life, she did everything she could to help me achieve my goals, whether that was going with me to summer dance camps and being a dorm mom, or getting me to class every day after school with a homemade dinner to eat in the car on the way there, or sending me to performing arts high school well before she was ready to let me leave home. When I went through my Michael Jackson obsession, and let's be honest, that has not ended, she scoured the nascent internet for the signed Michael Jackson photos for me and somehow managed to gift 4 of them to me. I still treasure them, and I'm currently trying to secure approval to display them prominently in our home. But my mom didn't just support my interests, she amplified them. She made me, and I'm sure each one of you, feel interesting. She made our passions worthwhile. She made us feel seen and extraordinarily supported. My mom also made life so very fun. There was always music, there was always dancing. She taught me how to polka in the living room, do the Charleston in the kitchen, and shimmy in the car. Some of my favorite memories are from our drives to school. Mom would rush out of the house carrying a half-eaten piece of toast or Pop-Tart, her tea in a mug still, often forgetting her jacket, and definitely running late. But somehow there was always time for dancing and laughing together in the car before we pulled into her spot in the faculty parking lot, which was not a spot, just where she managed to fit her car in as the last one to arrive every day. Alzheimer's stole many of the adult years I imagined having with my mom. There were conversations we never got to have, and versions of our relationship we never got to grow into. One of the gifts of those final years, though, was discovering what remained when so much else was stripped away. Alzheimer's never took away the core of who she was. In some ways, it revealed it. At her core, she was caring, joyful, goofy, and endlessly affirming. When she no longer knew me as her daughter, she would still look at me and say, "You are cool," or "I really like you." After my wife met my mom for the very first time, she commented that my mom seemed to describe every person as the best. Janelle was the best. The neighbor was the best. The student she had run into the other day at the grocery store was the best. To my very literal wife, this didn't initially make much sense. If everyone is the best, then that descriptor loses meaning. But once you know Joyce, it made perfect sense. She genuinely saw the best in people. She saw their strengths, their quirks, their struggles, and their potential, and she loved them for exactly who they were and genuinely saw everyone as the best in their own right. Before I conclude, I'd like to honor one more small final wish my mom had by sharing just a bit of a speech she wrote for the graduating class of 1996 when she was just 2 years older than I am now. In her speech, she told a story about a family friend named Dmitry Berkov, who gave her specially selected books each Christmas when she was a child. Every Christmas, he told her, "Joycey, you must read this. This is a masterpiece." She explained that although Dmitry never achieved all of his major goals he had hoped for in life, his impact on others was profound through his small actions such as gifting these thoughtful books that he cared so much about. Her main point, in her own words, was that, quote, "The great goals we set for ourselves are not the ones that produce the lasting impact. More often, effects on our friends, families, and the community at large come from small moments when we give from the depths of who we are while pursuing what it is that we love." When I heard those words, I was struck by how perfectly she was describing her own life and her own impact. While my mom has an incredible list of professional accomplishments, she did not accomplish every major goal she had for herself and desperately wanted to achieve. She wanted to earn a PhD. She wanted to publish the remarkable story of her parents' experiences during World War II, their immigration to the United States, and their eventual reconnection with family in Ukraine decades later. But those unfinished goals do not define her life. What defines her life is exactly what she described in that speech. She gave from the depths of who she was while pursuing what she loved. She is responsible for so many moments of profound impact on so many others. Her impact continues to ripple through every single person gathered here today. What an extraordinary gift we were all given by being exposed to Joyce Hannula, and perhaps me most of all, by being given the gift of being her daughter.
Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this wonderful? Isn't she lovely? To you. I can do this. Before beginning, let me offer a short disclaimer here. This eulogy is not the product of artificial intelligence. It was written by a fellow of limited intelligence and not the result of any correspondence with ChatGPT. God save us all when that day comes, huh? Now that that is out of the way, thank you for being here today. Your presence is a blessing to the Juros and the Hannula families. I feel deep and wonderful gratitude in my heart as I look out across this audience in your faces, in your expectant faces. Wonderful expectant faces. Thank you. How does one condense a beautiful, bold, and brilliant life of 72 plus years into 8 to 10 minutes in a eulogy? You don't, but I'll give it my best shot, because Joyce always did. Here's looking at you, kid. With all these glorious memories channeled through dopamine, the pleasure chemical, serotonin, the calming chemical, and endorphins, the laughter and feelings of well-being chemical. Living with Joyce was like living with a magician. It was the easiest thing I'd ever done in all my life. Let's start at the beginning. I need to pay homage to her parents and the legacy they created through intelligence, hard work, and perseverance. Joyce's parents were Ukrainian refugees and immigrants coming to America in 1949, outrunning Stalin's 1932 Holodomor, death by starvation, where approximately 5 million Ukrainians perished. Putin is worse than Stalin. Did you know Putin's grandfather was Stalin's personal chef? Then it was time to outrun Hitler's fascism. Valentina Denisovna and Wasyl Lukyanovich Jaros met in a displaced persons camp in Germany before immigrating to America as indentured servants. Marguerite Kirk paid their passage across the Atlantic. Think the Kirk hiking hills south of town. They slept in the hayloft of the Red Barn that now houses the feed restaurant on West Main, tending the fields and livestock for a year. Joyce was the middle child of with an older sister, Lucy, and a younger brother, Bill. Believing in hard work and the power and promise of public and higher education, Lucy and Bill both went on to earn PhDs. It was Joyce's goal to complete her PhD, but alas and alack, Alzheimer's stole that opportunity from her. It was replaced with an opportunity she embraced wholeheartedly, taking care of her parents in their doddering old age. No pun intended. Thank you. Sorry. About her father, Wasyl. He was industrious, clever, and bright. He was a problem solver. Joyce inherited that trait. One year, he placed third in a statewide chess tournament. We played City League volleyball, fished, cross-country skied, and attended many sporting events throughout the years. He was the best father-in-law a man could hope for. He was always upbeat and had a great sense of humor. Joyce inherited those traits. About her mother, Valentina, affectionately known as Wally. Oh my gosh, that woman, what a woman. I can still hear her thick Ukrainian accent. Rik, here, you need some more kapusta or borscht or apple strudel. Ochin korosho, that's very good in Ukrainian. She was a professional baker for MSU, and our house was always filled with cinnamon rolls and pastries. After retiring from MSU, she couldn't sit still. She went to work for Wendy's back when some fast food was still worth eating. She earned multiple Employee of the Month awards, and one time was awarded Employee of the Year. She was short of stature, but what a powerful little tornado she was, and always greeting people with grace, acceptance, and a smile, just like Joyce. Considering the family Joyce grew up in, it's no wonder Joyce matured into the beautiful, wonderful person she became. Who did Joyce become? I do not have to add much to that story here. Joyce's life will speak for itself. Actions are louder than words. Joyce was a thoughtful, inspirational, and compassionate high school English and psychology teacher for 35 years, a real veteran. Here are some comments from a few of her students. I have a few comments that downstairs we have a memory table, and there are a bunch of student photos down there, and on the back of the student photos, there's all kinds of wonderful little messages. If you get a chance to visit the memory table down there, it's worth your time. Here's from a few of her students, okay? O wise sage, keeper of the mystic book of endorphins, I bid thee a fond farewell. I shall forever cherish thy teachings. For thy everlasting patience and kindness, I am eternally grateful. Your humble servant. Okay. Did you eat your veggies today? Veggie Tales? Joyce was big on endorphins. Laughing. Mrs. Hannula, thank you so much for this year. You are such an amazing teacher and person. I look forward to your class every day. Next year, I'm planning on double majoring in psychology and elementary education. I hope that someday I will be as wonderful a teacher as you are. You have something that really makes your students want to learn and enjoy it so much. It is obvious that you truly care about each and every one of your students. Thank you so much for a wonderful year. I have probably 90 photos like this, messages like this sitting on a table downstairs. Dear Mrs. Hannula, never has a teacher made such an impression on me as you have done this past year. Having become a critic of school at about second grade, you are the first who have truly made me understand the importance of my education. I don't need to say anymore. Yeah, that's from her students. Okay. Joyce was involved with the Teacher Excellence Awards, the T program at MSU in the Office of International Studies. The T program put together a little book in honor of her retirement. I want to read to you now a little passage from the book that Janelle put together when Joyce retired. And it's just full of, there she is as Michael Jackson. Probably can't see it, but you'll probably see it on the slideshow. Okay, dear Joyce, this is from her former T colleagues that she mentored. A teacher like you never retires. You may leave the corridors of your school, but you will never be able to leave the corridors of your students' hearts. I will never forget the welcome reception and dinner at your lovely home. You left footprints on my heart. Dear Joyce, you are a beautiful woman, a talented teacher, a loving daughter, mother, and wife. You radiate light and joy. And then she wrote a little across it. J, joyful. O, optimistic. Y, youthful. C, caring. E, energetic. You opened me to the beauty of Montana and taught me to write lesson plans. Your energy conquered me fully. You gave me a wonderful chance to improve, to create, to discover, to listen, to act, and to rejoice. Thank you for being in my life. And she got that message over and over and over. God, living with her was the easiest thing I'd ever done. She treated me that way too. That was her life. Need I say more? I think not. We've talked about the beginning and middle of her life. Let us move on to the twilight and the setting sun portion of her life. 7.2 million Americans are afflicted with Alzheimer's. That's 7.2 million out of 340 million. That's a lot. Do the math. Living with Joyce's Alzheimer's was a daily delight and adventure. I never knew what the day would bring. On balance, the joy, love, and laughter was greater than the difficulty and the struggle. I don't know exactly where to start with the wit and the wisdom of Joyce as she dealt with Alzheimer's. I got some really nice stories here, and I expect a lot of laughter. Joyce was my comedic companion. We had a daily routine of walking our dog Tycho through the neighborhood and the park at the end of our street. It was fun to watch and hear the children and families at the playground. One day, she saw a young boy swinging on the monkey bars very skillfully. She wanted to say something like, "Great job, boy. You're doing fantastic on those monkey bars." She lacked the words, and it came out, "Yay, everyone." That was Joyce. She was a cheerleader for everyone, every day of her life. We were at Second Wind Sports one day looking for a bike for one of our nieces. She looked at the clerk and said in all earnestness, "That's a really nice shirt you're wearing. Even your dog likes it." It really made him laugh, and it made my day. That's Joyce. Terry, one of Joyce's caretakers, was visiting us one afternoon, and Terry asked Joyce, "Does Joyce love Rick?" And Joyce responds, "Just for fun." Yes. I'm filled with joy. She made my life enjoyable. Nearing the end, every night when I tucked her into bed, I would say, I love you, dear Joyce. And she would look at me with the innocent eyes of a child and say, thank you. And then she would nod off to sleep. As we approached closer to the end, her daily breakfast consisted of yogurt with blueberries, slices of mandarin oranges, grapes, and part of a muffin. One morning I asked her if she would like another bite of muffin. She looked at me and said, yes, please, in all sincerity. Joyce was saying please and thank you right up to the end every day. Boy, we could learn from her. I learned from her. And the last thing she said to me about 3 days before she passed, she had lost the ability to express herself with her hands. She nodded her head and said, come here, sweetie. I walked to her and she plants a little smooch on my cheek. Sweetness to the end. Well done, Joyce. Well done. It would be grossly remiss of me not to offer a few acknowledgments and notes of gratitude here. Grief is something never to be suffered alone. I was never alone. I was loved and supported through this entire process. I want to recognize my children, Gus, Maya, and Kara, and my son-in-law, Kit. Kit was with me the night that Joyce peacefully passed and cooked for us for the next 3 days. Thank you to Bill and Julie, Joyce's brother and his wife, and their children, Kira with Tim, Nick and Alex with Sam. Thanks to Julie and others, I have more than 20 dinners in the freezer. June Safford has prepared a pot of borscht for the family tonight. Thank you to my sisters, Joyce Hannula and Mary Burns, for their companionship and regular visits. I have become a firm believer in guardian angels, and the G and the A are capitalized. For example, take my next door neighbor, Tanya. Tanya, where are you? I'm going to embarrass you. Oh, okay. She's over there. I have become a firm believer in guardian angels. For example, take my next door neighbor, Tanya Tsukamoto, and her entire family. Tanya was the person who showed up 3 to 5 times a week, taking Joyce and Tycho for a stroll when Joyce could still walk. When she could no longer walk, Tanya would come over and tell me to get groceries or get on my bike and just disappear for an hour. She would sit in the chair next to Joyce, holding her hand while I ran errands. And thank you to Spring and all the rest of my neighbors. You know who you are. Katie Pinage and Jesse Tufty. Words fail me to express the depth of my gratitude for you two. Katie and Jesse would each watch over Joyce for one evening a month while I drank a pint of beer and discussed a book. This went on for about 3 years. A special thank you to all my book club buddies for their compassion and support. My dear teaching colleagues at Chief Joseph Middle School, Paula, Sally, Heather, and Chris, your wings uplifted my spirits, always. The Wesley Covenant gang, Jean and John, need a shout out. All my fellow docents at the Museum of the Rockies, and especially Tom, thank you. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Pamela Hebert and the hospice nurse, Marshall, for the compassionate and wonderful care Joyce and I received. Angels walk the earth every day. Look around. Pay attention. So what did I learn from Joyce because she was such an effective lifelong learner and teacher? You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. On a recent trip to visit my daughter in Atlanta, we went into a coffee shop. There was a poster on the wall that said, "Filter coffee, not people." Profound advice, really. More purple in this country, a little less red and blue. That captured Joyce. She was never the kind to filter people. She knew on a very deep level that everyone was worth seeing and hearing. You are loved, Joyce. Amen.
Well, I'm going to attempt to follow that. Thanks, Rick. Family. I'm probably the minority in this room today. I didn't have the opportunity or privilege to know Joyce in this life. I have, though, had the opportunity to hear your stories today and spend time with her family over the last few weeks preparing this service and getting to know her that way. And that's one of the privileges of a pastor, is getting to be in this space and hearing people's stories. And sometimes those stories we have to embellish a little bit, but not Joyce's. Not her story. Her story is one of hope, of love, and of seeing the best in each and every person. And as I got to hear many of these stories leading into today, there was something that stuck out that I wanted to share with you all. That's a story built over time, one over 44 years of time, one that Rick and Joyce shared together from the beginning. I want to share with you their wedding vows. They said to each other on that beautiful day, "From this day forward, I will share my life with you as an heir of grace. You will be my beloved and my friend. When you are weary, I will be a source of strength. For you in sorrow, I will give you comfort. If sick, I will tenderly care for you. And your joys will be my joys. I promise to honor and cherish you and encourage you to become all you were created to be. Our marriage and our home shall be highest priority. Knowing that in and through our marriage and our commitment to family, we can best serve one another and all those who share this life with us. I joyfully make this covenant with you and ask God's blessing in living these vows each day of our life." Right? Getting to spend a little time with Rick, there is no doubt. There is no doubt in the depths of who I am as a person and as a pastor that stands before you today that you both lived these out each and every day. Not only between the two of you, but with your family and your community. What a gift the two of you were and are to one another, but to so many people. Thank you. Thank you. I could certainly stand up here and tell some more stories that we haven't told today, but I'm not going to. You're welcome. But what we are going to do is share in some stories that often don't have words. We have a video slideshow that are going to tell the stories that live deep within us and in our memories. And as you see these pictures and videos come across me, the stories and memories of Joyce and your time together well up within you, and hold on to those deeply. May you enjoy and find joy in the storytelling of pictures today.
Or maybe show, do you want to do a little dance, Kara? No. Okay, well why don't we stop for now? I will. Okay, wait a minute.
No, show Daddy how you were doing like this. La 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 la.
I think I'll have Joyce say a word or two. Joyce, and
Yes.
you've known Kara a long time as well.
Yeah, I've known her, let's see, six years and how many hours, Kara? 13 hours about.
Yes, and tell me, what's the best thing about her?
Best thing
6
about
years
her,
old.
Kara Valentina has a wonderful laugh. She likes to laugh, and she has a
does
nice
have
laugh.
wonderful laughs. She.
feel like we could have just shown that last video for the whole thing and got a picture of who Joyce is. What a beautiful, beautiful life. This time I want to invite Lila Michael up to share a reading that she selected for Joyce. Lila was one of Joyce's speech and debate students, and today is an educator, theater director, and speech and debate coach herself at Bozeman High.
A poem for Joyce. The Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar from my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, the one who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps open her wings and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to kneel down in the grass, how to fall down into the grass. I know what it is to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon. Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. I love you, Joyce.
Lila, thank you so much for bringing that to life for us in honor of Joyce. And again, music was an important part of Joyce's life and something that she loved dearly. And today we have a piece that was performed by a colleague and friend, a former teacher, Michael Sertalik, there at the high school. And he couldn't be with us today, but she simply had requested that he play something wonderful at her service. And so we have a recording offered by him of something wonderful.
Hi, Joyce. This is for you.
Friends, I know in our bulletins it says that there's going to be a time of open sharing, and we're going to pivot a little bit today. We have a beautiful reception set up downstairs with plenty of food, and what better way than to gather around the table with a meal and community and friends and family, and to continue to share Joyce's story there. So we want to invite you, when we finish up here in a moment, to join us downstairs and to continue to do this. To continue to celebrate Joyce's life, to surround her family in that love and grace, and to continue to tell your stories and share those memories with one another. As we come to the hard part today and begin to wrap it up here, as we begin to say goodbye once more to Joyce, as we remember the stories and see the pictures and hear the music and poetry and hear from her family and friends and all that meant so dearly, one thing keeps coming up. This legacy of love, this legacy of joy, this legacy of teaching, this legacy of sharing all that you have with everyone. But the through line in just about every story that I heard today and going back the last few weeks is Joyce truly saw the best in everyone. And friends, I've got to tell you, the world doesn't change if we don't see the best in everyone. And Joyce left this world a better place than she found it because she truly saw the best in each and every person. She found ways to be present in each and every person in their lives and in ways that she could, in each and every moment. And today the family picked out a scripture that I think leans deeply into who Joyce is. Here are these words from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. There's a season for everything, a time for every matter under the heavens, a time for giving birth and a time for dying, a time for planting and a time for uprooting what was planted, a time for killing and a time for healing, a time for tearing down and a time for building up, a time for crying and a time for laughter, a time for mourning and a time for dancing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones, a time for embracing and a time for avoiding embraces, a time for searching and a time for losing, a time for keeping and a time for throwing away, a time for tearing and a time for repairing, a time for keeping silent and a time for speaking, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for war and a time for peace. And I took a little bit of pastoral privilege, and I'm going to keep on. Ecclesiastes goes on to say in verse 12, I know that there is nothing better for them to enjoy themselves and to do what is good while they live. Moreover, this is the gift of God, that all people should eat, drink, and enjoy the results of their hard work. Joyce, I think you did it. I think she lived out that verse deeply in everything that she was. Present in the fullness of her life and in the fullness of this creation, seeing the best in each and every person, doing good while she lived, and continuing to do so here now through each and every one of you. Her legacy does not go away today. It does not get buried with her. It does not float out into the wind. It lives in each and every one of you, and all that she taught you about this life remains in you. And so, church, as you go from this place, as you continue to grieve and to celebrate a life well lived, as you continue to hold on to all that Joyce taught you in this life, do not keep it here. Share it. Be present in the lives of the people around you. Be present in your community and see the best in everyone. Find time to laugh, to cry. Find time to dance. Come on. Enjoy this life, friends. Because when we enjoy this life, we see the best in others, and the best comes out in us, and this world changes because of it. Go and continue to change the world in honor of Joyce. Continue to live out her legacy well. It has been an honor and a privilege to stand here before you and share just a little bit, to help you celebrate in a life that meant so much very clearly to so many people. Please come down to the reception. There's plenty of food and drinks and space just to be, to tell stories. I learned that Joyce wasn't much for alcohol, so we're going to honor her life in a way that feels more like Joyce. To fill your cup with something sparkling, like apple cider or Pepsi. And to raise a glass with those who are around you and celebrate her life, her legacy, and the many gifts that she shared with each of you. Downstairs, there's another slideshow. It's a little different than the one that was up here. It's going to be playing continually. Please take time to watch it, to laugh and to share stories through it. In keeping with Joyce's wishes, it features many photographs of her beloved dogs throughout the years, and it also includes more than 30 slides of messages and memories from the international teachers whose lives she touched through her work with Janelle in the Office of International Programs. So we hope you'll take time to watch that, to reflect on the extraordinary reach of Joyce's influence, and to continue to share your memories and wrap this beautiful family in love. Rick also asked me to share. He said, it's been incredible that people are donating funds to nonprofits and charities, although that wasn't their request. But you can't stop generosity. And so if you're so moved, continue to give. Give to Bozeman Public Schools Foundation or any charity that you wish in Joyce's name. It's all deeply, deeply appreciated. As we move on to the next piece of sharing, of eating, of gathering together in community, please know that you can go out this door. There's stairs. They'll take you down. If you need an elevator, there's elevator and stairs on this end. There's bathrooms both upstairs and downstairs. Again, there's plenty of food. What better way to gather together to share than in community with one another? I'm going to escort the family out so that we can actually get downstairs to the reception and not get caught up here. So please, we'll give them time to get out of this space and into the next. But join us. Be present with one another and continue to share in the memory and legacy of Joyce. Friends, it's been an honor and a privilege to share just a little bit. Thank you. Thank you. May you go from this place knowing that you are loved deeply and that you are not alone. Amen.
Again, thank you so much.